Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me say on the outset, I support the report. And Mr. Speaker, this is the second one, I think, in this Parliament since this Parliament started. And it's very good that we actually know what is our debt stock. Debt is not a bad thing. No country has ever developed without borrowing. You realize that developing countries are more indebted than developing countries, with Japan having the highest debt to GDP at present value of 256. US is at 123% of GDP at present value. And most of the countries, developing countries, are below 100. But they cry more because the loans they took, either they are expensive, and also the way they utilize the loans. Most of the loans went to wastage. And therefore, paying becomes a problem. Mr. Speaker, going forward, the loans which we should take from this country should go into projects or programs with high economic and social returns, so that it becomes easier for us to pay because of the impact they are going to bring to this country. Mr. Speaker, looking at the report, one thing which is worrying is the Kenya loans mix. When you talk about domestic loan in this country, is 65% from the report, and external is at 5%. Mr. Speaker, domestic loans have their own effects, a very serious effect. One, the interest rates are very high. Two, their repayment period is very short. Most of them are 5 years or that kind of thing. And the more critical thing is that they crowd out private sector borrowing. Now, if the rates, for example, last year, the rates, the treasury bonds, the rates were around 20%, 16, 18%. And if you go to the bank because of that, the banks will increase the interest rates because it's easier, there is less risk borrowing from government than private sector. Banks giving to government than private sector. And therefore, they increase their interest rates. When they increase their interest rates, the bank cannot borrow, they cannot invest, they cannot expand their businesses or start up their businesses. And that has a serious effect on economic growth. Mr. Speaker, we need to move to more concession loans, which have low interest rates and long repayment periods, so that at least we can benefit from the loan and desist from borrowing. Mr. Speaker, how did we find ourselves in this situation? One thing is the way we do our budgets. We are always having a budget with high deficits. The moment this Parliament approves a budget with a deficit, you are already approving borrowing because the deficit has to be financed. So we need to move, and the deficit stands around 17% of our budget. So we need to move more to balanced budgets so that we reduce our borrowing. The other thing we need to do is to reduce the use of Article 223. These are provisions in financial management which have really been misused by Mandarin's treasury. You realize that every year we are spending on this article, using this article, between 100 and 200 billion per year. You know, this is money which is not budgeted. And immediately you spend that kind of money, you are also affecting the projects which are budgeted for. Mr. Speaker, it's a pity that some withdrawals on debt payment are done manually. Last week we met with the control budget, and she was saying that she's approving 115 payments, debt payment every month, every week. And some of them are done manually. And she has not really time to go through all those payments. So I think it's important for this recommendation that is to actually automate withdrawal of debt so that at least we can have, we increase our accountability on debt repayment. Mr. Speaker, the other thing is fiscal consolidation. This is a song which we sang for so many years, and it's high time we strictly follow fiscal
In 30 seconds.
It's high time we strictly implement fiscal consultation so that we can reduce unnecessary trips, hospitalities which are in our budgets, and general wastage which we have been facing. Mr. Speaker, the single treasury account of our FDS. I was reading somewhere last week, and the money which we are collecting for affordable housing, that money, affordable housing, it has earned 2 billion shillings from government securities. You know, because if we have fiscal, this single treasury account, the government is going to have money to use without paying interest. So this is something which we need really to implement, and the treasury should not actually be telling us when they are going to be. Implementation should have been yesterday, not even today.
Thank you. Member for Cliffy North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, that you give me this opportunity to contribute to the medium-term debt